In the previous lecture, we have created an Android project and we have run the project on our emulator, and this application shows nothing but hello world, hello Android on the screen with a white background. And now let's examine this project over here. So you see that we are inside a file called main.activity.kt, and inside this file we have a class, and this class actually extends another class. So activity is an important component in Android framework, and in Android, activity means a single screen. So typically in our application we can have multiple screens like login screen, registration screen, profile screen. We can navigate back and forth to different screens. So typically each screen is represented by an activity. In the old way, we typically used to create activities for each screen, but in Compose we don't have to create activities for each of our screens. We actually come up with one activity, which is the main activity, and you can treat this main activity as the entry point of this application. Remember, in Kotlin programming we have a main method, so this main activity is somewhat similar to that main method. The main method for a Kotlin program is the entry point, and this main activity also the entry point for this application. Whenever we run this application, or if our user press the launcher icon of this app, when the app launches, Android will create this main activity first, and then we will see something. So activity actually represents a screen, and whenever we have a screen, we want to show our user something like text, images, buttons, and so on. So we need to set a layout or some content to this activity, and that's what this set content method over here, which is inside this onCreate method, and which is a lifecycle method for activity. And don't worry, I will talk about the lifecycle methods of activity in later videos, but just for now, just remember that this onCreate method is the first lifecycle method of an activity. So whenever this activity is created, onCreate method will be called automatically by the framework. And inside this onCreate method, there is a very important method, which is set content, which is responsible for setting a layout, a user interface for this activity so that we can see. So there are a lot of stuffs in this set content method over here, and if you are confused with the syntax, then I want to remind you that when we actually learn about lambda expressions and function as a parameter section in the Kotlin module, that whenever we have a function that takes another function as a parameter, and if the parameter function is the last parameter, then we can actually pull that last parameter out of the parentheses of the function. So this section over here is actually the last parameter of this set content method, this function. This is a special function which is annotated with composable, and I will talk about composable, what is composable functions, in a moment. So this is actually the last parameter, and inside that we have a hello compose theme. This is another method. Don't be confused with the naming convention. You see that this is actually a function. So if I put the cursor over here, you see that hello compose theme is actually a function which is annotated with composables. So typically composable functions start with capital letter, which is actually you can think that it is actually violating the convention, the naming convention of a function, but it is how it actually works. It is by default in Compose. So whenever we have a composable functions, so this is a function, this is also a function, and this function actually starts with the capital letter. So composable function, this is the first rule of defining a composable function, that it must start with a capital letter. Okay, so let's come back to this set content method. We have a hello compose theme function whose responsibility is to provide a theme for this entire application. And inside this composable function, we have another composable function called surface. which actually creates a surface for our application. So whatever we see over here, it's actually a surface which is occupying the whole screen. As you can see, we told this surface to take as much space as it can take, fill the maximum size. That means fill the maximum width and maximum height. That means size means it actually indicates both the width and height. And also we have a default color, this color background. That's why we are actually looking at this white background over here. And also we can provide other colors, for example blue and green and whatsoever. It's up to you. And inside this surface, as a last argument of this surface composable functions, which takes another function, and this is the last parameter of this surface composable functions, which says greeting. So greeting is another composable functions, and inside that there is another function. So this text is another composable functions, and this text composable function is responsible for showing the text that we are looking at the screen over here. So this hello world is actually coming from these greeting composable functions. So we have passed a text, for example Android, as a parameter of this greeting function, and then this text composable function is actually showing this text, and whatever text it is showing over here, we see the output here. Okay, and also we have another composable functions which is for preview, and I will talk about this function later and the purpose of this preview function. But before I do that, I want to talk about this file structure over here. So this is actually the project view or project pane of Android Studio. If you click this button, the pane will be disappeared, and if you click once again, then it will appear. And inside, make sure that this Android is selected, and inside this we have two folders, the app folder and the Gradle scripts. So inside this Gradle scripts directory, all the files are here, is responsible for building our application, compilation, and so on, handling the dependencies. And I will talk about these files later, but the most important folder is for us at this level is this app folder. If you expand this app folder, and if you expand this one and this one, then you will see that our main activity.kt file is there. So if I close this and click this once again, then our main activity.kt file will appear. Besides this main activity.kt, we have few other files that are created by default that comes with the template, which is inside this ui.theme. So inside that, you see there are three other Kotlin files. One is color. So these are some default colors that are created for us. We can use this color. And then we have a theme.kt file, and this composable over here, hello compose theme, you will find it inside the main activity, this function over here. So this composable function is automatically created for us, and remember, whatever project name, application name we provide, the theme function will be created based on the name. So if the application name is hello compose, then the theme function name will be hello compose theme. If you choose the name as for example my racing game, so if the application name is racing car, then the theme function name will be racing car theme. So this is built for us, and we can actually modify this theme to our needs, and we can we'll do that later. But this theme actually provide a default theme for our application. And also in the type.kt file, we have some typography, some text style that we can actually apply on any text. And also we have some other directories or file structures, for example the manifest, and I will come back later what this manifest file is. if I keep going and explaining each of these files, I think it will be very hard for you to remember. And I will explain what Android manifest file is when the time is right. Also, we have a resource folder, we have a drawable folder, the MIP map, the values, the XML. For example, in the drawable, we normally put our drawable resource like images inside this folder, and inside the MIP map folder, we actually put our launcher icons for our applications. In the values folder, we have the colors, also some color codes over here. So these are XML files, right? And we can define our own colors. There is a template over here. We can modify or change the color to our needs. Also, we have a string file so that we can save the string for localization, for converting our language conversion, for example, English to Arabic or English to French, etc. And also we have a themes.xml file. So these are the files that we sometimes or quite often we need to access these files. And this is another folder, and currently this folder is empty, but there will be also some XML files in this resource folder, but that will be automatically generated. So it is not our concern what's inside this resource folder, so just ignore it. But our main concern for the time being at this very earliest stage is this inside this app folder, inside this Kotlin and Java, and inside this folder over here. So whenever we need to create another Kotlin file, we create our Kotlin file just under this folder, not this one or not this one. If we want to test our application like unit testing or instrumentation testing or UI testing, then we will create the Kotlin files in the corresponding folders over here. But for normal data classes and other classes or activities or fragments, we will always use this folder over here. So if you want to create a new Kotlin file, just select this folder, right click, new, and then Kotlin file or class, then give the class name and hit enter. The class will be over here. And also we can create sub packages like right button, new package, like we always try to manage our files in separate directories. For example, we can put all the model or data classes in a separate package called data classes. We can put all the Kotlin classes or files that is related to database. We can create another package called database or model or whatsoever. So the main thing is we can create sub packages and put the corresponding or similar files to that package so that we can easily find the files when necessary. So this is all about the starting project. I just wanted to show you that how this hello Android text is shown on the screen, and now you know that this hello world string or this hello world text is actually coming from this section over here. So all these are composable functions. By now you have I think understood that this compose or this UIs, whatever we want to show on the screen is nothing but some function. So if we want to show an image, we have to show that by means of a composable function. So everything in Compose is function, and this is a special function. It's a composable function, and that's what I'm going to discuss in the next lecture.